When the weather outside gets frightful, it's time to be careful as you drive. Hello and welcome to WJTS in.form. I'm your host, Bill Potter. Joining me in the studio is the Sheriff of Dubois County, Donny Lampert. Donny, always a pleasure to see you and talk with you. And you know, when the weather gets scary outside, people have to do some driving because we do need to get to work. Even the slightest black ice can be dangerous, or 12 inches of snow can be dangerous. So let's talk a little bit about winter driving. What's some tips that you have that you run into as the sheriff?
I think one of the best places to start is probably before you even leave, and that's to make sure all your windows are cleared. So many times you'll see somebody else scrape just enough to see, and by doing it, you may have to get up a little earlier. You may have to put something over your vehicle to keep the frost, the snow off. If you can park it in a garage or under an awning, that's great, but some of us just don't have that. One of the things that will actually help with that too is if you don't have to go to work till after the sun starts to come up, park your vehicle, if you have to park it outside, where the windshield is facing towards where the sun is coming up, because that sun can actually help loosen that kind of material. But the key thing is always make sure you have plenty of time getting to work. So if you can leave an extra 10, 15, pay attention to the weather. The weather is amazing how well the weather is now that we can find out prior to, and you know, don't take a chance on whatever it say, go with it and work for the best. On your way in, always give your time extra time to stop, extra time to slow down to stop. Always never travel too close to another vehicle. And I think a lot of people think, I've seen people, well, I was 2 car lengths away from a vehicle. In theory, that might work if it's on perfect conditions. However, we should actually be further back even in the best conditions. But let's add a few more car spaces. It's going to take you time to slow down and to stop. And I think everybody pretty well, once you drive in it the first time, you figure that out. That first snow, be aware of the other drivers, because that first snow seems like until we get a good snow or a good slick road, everybody first starts adjusting after that. Well, let's adjust before that. On our way into work, make sure we pay attention constantly to the other drivers and to ourselves, and try to stay off, you know, the phones or limit your phone use. You know, keep the radio down so you can hear what's going on, because sometimes you can actually hear or feel the traction being lost. And you should do good, but the key thing is to slow it down. That is the biggest thing in snow and ice. Now, there are times maybe where you will need to speed up a little bit, and that has to do with some of the hills in this county and different places. Because if you get hung up on a hill and you're sliding backwards, it's not fun. It's not fun at all.
Well, you've touched on 3 things that really do drive me crazy when I see people doing this, and that is people who didn't take the time to clean their windows. And they got this little square this big to be able to see out. And really, when the conditions are bad and you don't know where cars are coming from, you need to have everything cleaned off as well as you can. And sometimes just go out and start your car 15 minutes early. Let it sit there and idle with the defrost on.
That defrost will help a lot when scraping that window.
But I think, you know, when you hear people say this all the time, but I don't know who the ones are that are doing this, but everybody follows everybody too closely.
Yes.
You're just right. And I don't know why we do that.
We're in a hurry. We're more thinking about what we're going to instead of where we're at right now. And we need to think about what's ahead of us, if there's a curve, if there's a hill, what kind of road conditions there are, and adjust before we get there to that. And then the key thing is live in the moment. So many times we've become a society that we just have to be too fast-paced and don't stop and think about the moment and where we're at. The other thing that really would be good too, even before you leave, is to put extra blankets, put a candle in there, a match, a little extra water, food, things like that. Bring it with you just in case you're stranded. If you have to walk somewhere, you know, bring some extra boots or leave some in there, just so basically surviving. Sooner or later somebody's going to get there because the snow's going to thaw, but it might be a while.
Well, you know, speed is a big thing too. You know, sometimes people are going too slow for hills, and you got to watch that because you put everybody behind you in jeopardy. But it kills me how many people think the faster I go, I can get to work quicker. No, that's not good.
Yes.
So just use a lot of caution. And when you come up to, I guess, an intersection, and most of the routes that we're going to be traveling when the weather is bad is routes that we drive every day.
And it becomes a routine.
Yes, it becomes a routine. But you know where the intersections are.
Yes.
You know where the hills are. You know where the curves are. Be thinking of those ahead of time, because when you come to an intersection, you can't assume the people coming the perpendicular to you are going to be able to stop, because they may be one of those people that drive too fast.
Yes, correct.
And
then the other thing is actually tell other people, talk to them about driving. I think one of the key things is that we keep open communication with each other. Tell our kids. You know, some kids this year will be the first time they ever drive in snow. Take them out. Maybe go to a place where you can drive a parking lot, and I don't be spinning donuts and things, right. But some place where you can let them drive and get the feel of what it's like on snow and ice. But I think the key thing is you hear somebody bragging, yeah, I was doing this. Say, wait a minute here. You know, you can brag about that, and it sounds like you had fun, but what was the dangers involved in it? You know, you're taking a risk on somebody getting hurt, somebody's life, and things like that.
Well, you said something about tested a little bit, and I usually do that. When I'm leaving, let's say our parking lot here at the station, I'll get myself some speed and I'll hit my brakes, just
Absolutely.
so I have an idea of what kind of traction I can or cannot get.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, because it changes real quick with that, especially the black ice. And,
Yes.
and the black ice, one to help you there is watch that temperature gauge. If that temperature gauge is getting around freezing, there's a chance that black ice could be there. So sometimes you have to watch it. And with the black ices, it may not be in one section of the road, but it may be in another section. So you really want to pay attention to that. And then drive according. If it takes you 5 extra minutes because you're paying attention, you don't have a wreck, that's a good thing.
Yeah.
You know, if you have a wreck, you're looking at hours. You're looking at maybe in the hospital. I mean, you're looking at, it could be a life-changing experience. And take your time out there and enjoy the snow.
If someone would have an accident, slide off the road, what should they be doing? Should they get off the road? Obviously, don't stand on the road on your phone. Who do they call? The sheriff's department?
If it's possible, if you can get off the road, sometimes that's the best way. I know a lot of times it's preached, don't move your vehicle because of insurance and reports and all that. You have to look at the safety involved. And if you're in the roadway and other vehicles are going by, there's a chance that there's going to be another wreck. So if you're stuck where you're at, look at the situation. If it's one of them, I'm near a hill, a curve, where people might not see me, get them hazard lights on, call 911, get some people en route. In the winter when it gets really bad, sometimes it's just a matter of calling us and letting us know you're okay, but you're going to have to leave your car here. There's no damage. It's stuck. We'll get it later. It's off the road. It's not going to harm anything. We appreciate that when people call and just give us a heads up on that. You have to look at what your situation is and to what point you affect other people too.
And I think another thing, be patient, because when you call the sheriff's department because you have had an accident, you may be on the other end of the county, and because the road conditions are so bad and there are so many accidents, it's going to take a while for them to get to you.
Yes, absolutely. And there's some accidents we just don't get to. We just take the basic information, go. But those are usually your very small PD accidents. Personal injury is a little different, and even serious injury, those officers are trained to go as fast as they can because they want to help. But they still have to get there. If they don't get there, they can't help nobody. Then they become another accident.
Right.
And I appreciate when the public does call in about our officers, and we get that corrected. So thank you on that.
All right. Sheriff, thank you very much for coming in. Please use caution and safety when you are out driving in inclement weather. Our guest has been the Sheriff of Dubois County, Donny Lampert. Thank you very much for coming in.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you for watching WJTS in.form. We're local people watching local people.